said. All right, and here we go. Welcome to UCC.
Yay!
We out here. This is your boy Wes.
All right. It's your boy Sep.
Gabe on the mic.
And this is JJ.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in with us today. We got some really interesting topics. Sep,
Yeah.
what have you been diving into lately, man? What do you got going?
Man, crazy topic for today, guys, is a hot topic, actually, in the industry.
Definitely right now, for sure.
It's trending. It's on the wave of sprayed terps.
Ooh.
Sprayed packs. Ooh. Sprayed boof. Sprayed mids. Sprayed zaza, whatever you want to call it. That's what's trending right now.
Spraying terps on your cannabis.
And that's literally what it is. Spraying terpenes to increase either the quality of your flower, to either increase a pack that couldn't sell on the shelf.
So let's start from the beginning. Where is this originating from? Where is this starting to stem from?
I mean, this is stemming from more of the traditional market. To be honest, is a big part of it. People wanting sprayed packs, and what that refers to is spraying cannabis flower with terpenes, so giving it extra, more potent smell, but it's an artificial smell.
Right.
And that's what needs to be noted. So it's like when you have a strain called Blue Icy, and it literally will smell like a Blue Icy you would get at the store.
Something's wrong.
It might be a little questionable, to say the least.
Like, how are they getting this so fruity?
For sure.
Yeah, and the hard thing about this is trying to identify what that flower looks like, right? Because you don't want to necessarily find out from consuming. You want to know before. So
Right.
what are some of the
Yeah.
ways that we might be able to know?
Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and rewind it just a little bit on spraying terpenes. One, Gabe's question was, where did it start? I did a little research, and it talks about the practice of spraying cannabis flower with terpenes is relatively recent, right?
For sure.
But also it's a development in the cannabis industry as a response to market demands for specific aromas, strains, tastes, right?
Right.
People want that candy. So people are going to develop oils, essential oils that have candy, fruity pebbles, right? You're going to have companies that bloom out and create these synthetic oils that have that mimic gelato, that mimic a Sour Patch Kids, you know what I mean? And now you have your flower that tastes like, it tastes like French toast blueberry, and you're like, whoa, but it's not actually.
Yo, this tastes like Cinnamon Toast
Blueberry
Crunch.
French toast, and that's a response to the people wanting a certain flavor, and now they have to make up for it by spraying the flower. And as a result of that, you don't know the effects, you don't know what batch you're going to get, you don't know what's going to happen with those terps. It hasn't even been tested, and it's a trend right now that's kind of in the black market as well, and kind of making its way into the legal market, which apparently has been in the legal market in other states that I am relatively just knowing of, which is quite scary for those patients. And so
I've seen this kind of trending around New York on the East Coast. It's starting to spruce up a little bit more.
For sure. New York.
New York's been. I've seen a couple of companies come out of there. Blue Diamond is a company that's stemming out of New York that's advocating for like the quality of a sprayed product.
That's not even give them any freaking more clout than they need.
Well, if you want to go check out a boof page, go check out their page. You know what I mean? This is not a good company.
No.
We are not speaking any praise to.
They don't need any more promotion. Yeah. We're not promoting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to highlight when it comes to all of this like sprayed weed and everything is that it isn't good quality going in. It usually is, whether it's like an overgrown crop or harvested early, it's been harvested like 8 months and they're finally getting around to it. Usually it's lower quality weed that's getting sprayed with these terps to enhance the flavor, to enhance the aromatic, the stuff that you smell and everything, to make up for it just being in a bag for months and months.
And that's what these sprays are trying to achieve too. That when you open up your bag, it's gonna be poof, with that smell, right? That when you smoke it, it's gonna be poof, with that smell. You know what I'm saying? And that's the craziest part, is they're literally trying to mimic popular strains, trying to combine flavor combinations that are not really that of the cannabis flower.
But like you said, popping these bags to smell them, because you can't see in the bag.
Because you can't see these bags that
they're just selling a bag
designed so highly to
it's a good design
to market you to, you know what I mean? Like it's a response to the white market and its legalities. And it's like, okay, you guys want to create more dispensaries, we're going to go ahead and copy what you have. Yep. And the craziest part is, once you do get people that will buy these packs, the wave doesn't really stop. Mm-hmm. And that's the sad part. So identifying these packs online, you know, don't fall for the scams. When you get followed through these pages on your social media, that's one of the ways that you kind of start to see it pop up if you don't know what we're talking about. That's kind of the ways you'll start to see it. A lot of pages will start to kind of speak up on it. And you know, based on the ethics of the company first. Always know the company you're sourcing your flower from. You know what I mean? So, and it's tough in the black market. You know, you got your plugs, you got your chat. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Everybody's trying to make their buck, but you have to not support it as best as you can. Support the locals who've been doing this for 40, 50, 60 years, that are growing real cannabis, real cannabinoid profiles, real rich terpenes. And what were you speaking on earlier about aldehydes and stuff like that, man? Those are different compounds, right? In the
alkalines.
Alkalines, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So alkalines and thiols are also part of the flavonoid and expression in whole. So there's much more that goes into the aromatics of cannabis than just terpenes. We highlight terpenes because it's one of the most volatile substances that's easiest to trace, right?
Right.
So we can test how much is containing in it, compared to an alkaline is a little bit harder of a testing format. So where it's a newer development on what aromatics are being expressed through a naturally produced plant, it's actually kind of funny. I wanted to backtrace a little bit on something that you said earlier in the episode. You said essential oils and synthetics, and those fall into two different classifications. Essential oils fall into the classification of a botanical terpene. Like florals, So a botanical terpene is also something that's derived from like lavender, lemon, mangoes. Yeah. So and those are called monoterpenes. Monoterpenes are linalool, pinene, myrcene. Those are monoterpenes. When you start looking at what a synthetic is the imitation of those molecules, right? So on a microscopic level, they look identical to each other. But when you start looking at the composition of how an organic plant produces all of the different alkalines and thiols that I mentioned earlier, in correlation to the terpene content, everything that goes into the aromatics cannot be mimicked or synthesized due to the complexity. So when you start looking at how complex it is to imitate nature, we have never truly been able to achieve that feat. And it's something that a lot of, I know I'm using a lot of like terminology, but it when you look at how you can create life, it takes life to create it. So like living soil will give you the best terpene and overall thiol and alkaline expression due to the living organisms that reside in the soil. It all starts where it stops, you know?
Yes. I'm snapping to that, man, honestly. And thank you, Gabe, for dropping that knowledge on us, seriously, because at the end of the day, it is your body. It is how you take it in. It does matter what you're smoking. So when you are a patient and you're taking into consideration when you're buying these things, these are some of the stuff that some of us are looking into, right? When Gabe is describing aromatics, right? When we're talking about flavor, when we're talking about consistency, you're not going to find any of those with sprayed terpenes in your flower. You know what I'm saying?
I want to add just one more thing to that. When you go smell strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, whatever, you know when the fruit is ripe and when the fruit is rotten and when it's no longer viable. Cannabis is the same way. You will be able to tell when the plant has the most living organisms running through it and when it's going to be the best complex cannabinoid structure is when the freshest the batch can be. The longer it takes, the aromatics fall away. And that's usually when they implement spraying a synthetic terpene onto the flower is when it's no longer aromatic of any kind. Because it's a living organism. It's a flower. It's a fruit. It's a flower. Who knows? But when you start looking at it in that sense, it makes a little bit more... I don't even know the terminology because it doesn't make sense on why you would spray terps onto your flower besides trying to make money.
Yeah, trying to make money.
It's the end of the dollar, end of the run.
Yeah, no, it literally is, man. 100%.
Yeah, they just don't want to hand out blanks.
And our job here is just to inform you, right? That's all we're doing here is to educate you to make a smart decision when you buy your weed. A smart decision when you buy your cannabis, right? Take into account these different tips that we're giving you guys.
Because at the end of the day, we don't really know what they're spraying on there.
Right, man.
You know, they say ingredients, artificial and natural ingredients. Like, okay, well, specifically, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what does that translate to when you look at combustion as well?
And then they also have the propulsion in the gas, you know, that's spraying. Like, what's causing it to spray? It's the gas in there. That's getting all over the weed, too.
Yeah,
right? Like,
so
maybe some of it evaporates.
I can see how they're doing it through, like, a pump system, you know, and they're pumping it to, like, a
We were reading this crazy article earlier that was, like, giving us spray techniques.
Oh, man.
And, like, don't press too hard, you know. And then at the end of the article, it was like, we recommend you find some good cannabis, you know, either grow it or buy it, some high terpene cannabis that's natural. But it's like the whole thing was just like, this is how you
sponsored by your local trapper.
This is how you spray terps. And like, is it good? And it was like, unfortunately, we don't have much research on it, but it's like people are buying it, so that's good. But it's like, no, we want people buying the natural, actual good stuff. Like, why are you trying to mimic something
that we can already produce?
Yeah.
And just because it doesn't taste like
why have imitation crab when you can have crab?
And I'm sorry if you don't like the smell, don't like the taste of cannabis, but what medicine do you know tastes good? There's none. There's always going to be some contingencies for some people when you're looking to medicate, and you're not always going to enjoy the flavor of your medicine. Mm-hmm. You know, there are times that I've had RSOs that are completely unpleasant to palletize.
RSOs for sure.
Yeah, that's RSOs are really hard to palletize.
Yeah.
But the medicinal effect that comes afterwards is what you guys should be looking for.
Right. It was crazy. I was listening to, shout out to Kyle Cushman. He was talking today, and he was just talking about when you find that one strain that doesn't give you anything that you wanted. He says that's when you found your medicine in cannabis. And he says, and it takes time, you know what I mean? Just like when you need to alleviate something, you know what I mean? Going to the doctors, right? Whatever health, it takes time to find it. So when you find that strain, and
it doesn't leave you wanting more.
Right, it doesn't leave you wanting more. And then when it does alleviate that anxiety, and it is a sativa, and you're like, whoa. And then you go buy that same strain from your plug, and now you've done switched up your whole cannabinoid profile, and your whole sensory experience just is in a multitude of channels, right? So it's important that when you're buying or when you're going to get these things, and like we said, we're just here to inform you and educate you on that. There's inconsistency, you know. You don't know what the effects are going to come out when it comes to spraying when it comes from batch to batch differs. And then, but mainly, if you're finding a specific strain that fits for you, don't go try and change that and go somewhere and be like, yo, that AK-47 I got from my plug is not hitting like it does in the dispo. Well, I wonder why. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you know, and it's not to say these dispos you get a free hand too. You know what I'm saying? You know who you are, but we're all doing better. And this is what we're doing at UCC.
Mm-hmm. And I think that brings to light just making sure that as a patient that you're kind of like knowing what to look for. And so here in the medical market, when we go, I mean, if you go to a website, most of the pharmacies have a website, an app that you can log into. You can see a lot of the terpene content the flower has, cannabinoid, like percentage, even sometimes like harvest dates. And those are things that you should definitely be checking to make sure that you get the best quality of medicine and to ensure that it's also, you know what I mean, the best out there for your health.
For sure.
Volatile organic.
And the best for your buck too, you know what I mean? Like, why go spend your money on your medicine and it not be to the fullest quality that it should be?
Yeah.
Or that it can be. You know what I mean? Not just should be, but like that it could be.
Yeah, because that's the thing about the industry that we're in. We have a plethora of flour that sits on the shelves for too long, and it's due to market inconsistencies and market irregulations of price, right? When patients can't afford their product, they're not going to buy it.
Right.
Why would they? Why would they? You know, it doesn't make sense when you can turn around, have your homie pull up to your house and at half the price of the ounce, you know, and get decent flour. That's where we need to start advocating for home grow and having access.
Home grow could eliminate a lot of that, man.
Yeah, access and like
all you need to know is a grower.
Exactly. Access to medicine, so that way the market can start to regulate a little bit more efficiently. You know, where our medical market isn't overpriced, where we can start to compete with everywhere else, you know? Start being a contender.
Yes. And that advocates for people to home grow, self advocate, self-patient, right? Self-reliant, right? Not having to necessarily last minute hate, and even if they don't necessarily grow themselves, they could potentially know someone that could be a caregiver, right? With a micro grow or a grow license, and like you said, the regulations that are here make it that much harder, so people have to go and find it somewhere else. You know,
and it's crazy you guys touching on price, because I mean, talking about sprayed terps, bringing it back, I mean, guess what costs very cheap, very accessible, right? Is the sprayed boof. And so that really makes it that much harder because of the opportunity that it's like, oh, weed is all just the same, like it's just medicine, but that isn't the case at all. And you need to sometimes have to spend a little bit more because you might be missing out on how much better the quality can be. Right. Especially if like you're just pinching pennies. Like, if you really just save up, get after one really good jar, make sure like good, like I said, good harvest date terpenes, like asking the bud tender, whoever's helping you out at the pharmacy, like questions, making sure you get the best, and like you can see for yourself the difference in quality. So
one of those things that help is when you pop open that jar, smells a little fresh. Smell some complex flavors. You know what I mean? You're like, ooh. That should kind of be like what you feel a little bit when you open it. You'll be like, ooh. But not ooh as in like, almost like, oh, this is too good to be true. Because that's when it's like, oh, now it starts to trick the nose. But you want to make sure that when you're
You'll
smelling.
Smell the leaf.
Yeah, you want to smell.
You should smell, you know what I mean? Like, no matter how loud your pack is.
And you'll know by the pack that you're getting.
Organic. So you'll also be able to tell by trichrome density and trichrome. So like a lot of the sprayed packs that I've seen, they look mutated, dude.
Right.
They do not look like flour.
Good, but
that's the beauty of the legal market, and I have to say it is traceability in a sense.
You're just like, where's the
You can know where the phenotype, the cultivar, the genotype, phenovar, whatever, all of those, you know where it's coming from, right? You can kind of trace it back to a grower. Even if the grower, boom, fire, blew some ass, you know what I'm saying? So it'd be like that, you know what I'm saying? And you trace it back to who, you know, gave out that clone, gave out that seed pack. But in the black market, people be like, oh, I got anxiety, man, from my homie. And it's like, well, no shit, man. Like, it was probably
PRGs,
1-year-old weed, and they had to spray it because homie's trying to sell it.
Pretty much spice.
And you smoked some spice, my guy. And
You
that's why your
smoked some
anxiety
spice,
was
my guy.
1,000%.
and we haven't even touched base on PRGs.
But we're gonna rewind it back a little bit, and and just going back to
PGRs,
opening
sorry.
up your jar, just finding the smells, right, and then you should have experience and taste a little bit of your flower. You shouldn't be tasting weird synthetics, you know, in your mouth after the smoke or when you vaporize your flower.
How harsh is it on your throat?
So
right?
that's another thing that we can talk about. The way that synthetic terpenes have always been vaporized and not combusted.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between the combustion and the vaporization of that terpene.
So when they're combusting it, they're just coughing their ass off, coughing a lung out.
well,
Just
I don't know because I
about it.
haven't experienced
probably.
it. Probably.
Yeah.
I know, right?
probably.
Is that crazy?
But when you look at it on a carcinogen level,
Contaminants for sure.
what is being burnt has to have residual, right?
You could probably hear the
So-
moisture burning on it when you smoke it. It's like.
Yeah. So when you consume a clean product, smoke is not necessarily good, but if it's a clean
Right.
product, what are you consuming? You're consuming carbon and you're consuming water. Those are the two main molecules that you're getting on vaporization and combustion. So when you start looking at the carcinogens that are left through combustion, like the paper, the butane that you inhaled in the initial light up, the byproduct of the leaf, there's so many things that leave carcinogens. That's the truly harmful part of smoking, not necessarily the inhalation of smoke.
Interesting.
So there, it's a very complex thing when you start looking at what have these terpenes been synthesized for in their history. They've been ingested, not inhalated, or inhalation. Inhaled.
Nice.
Sorry.
All good, all good.
But there's a difference between the consumption of that specific terpene and how it's been played as a flavonoid and how it's been utilized in our probably past 20 years when we started implementing artificial flavoring. That's when it's really started to shift into, okay, is this harmful for us to consume smoking wise? It's not necessarily harmful for us to consume orally or to eat it. Our bodies can still manage it,
Right.
and that's
100.
why it's in Skittles and every candy that you
Yeah.
see. We can consume it, but can our lungs smoke it? What is that looking like? You know,
Right.
we don't know.
And who's to say like where these people are buying these terpenes to spray their flower with? Like
Even the
they could be
infused-
buying these
infused,
terpenes
man.
that are meant for candy and just
Yeah.
spraying it right on there. And
Yeah,
then
what was that blue diamond? What was
it's
that one you
giving
sent?
you
That was crazy.
cancer
That
or
looked
who
like it
knows?
was like little rocks in an aquarium or something. When you sent that, it was not a filter. That's why I kept tripping. I thought, you know, when you look at a little fish tank and you see the little rocks in their color, that literally looked like the nugs.
Yeah, they were blue.
It was
nuts.
crazy.
Did you
Like,
guys check out that page? They had
And it's
like
like,
golden
who-
flakes.
that was
Who knows what they're
yeah,
putting
gold
on their
crusted,
weed.
looking like a gold nugget. Like, no, that's not natural. Especially when you have the opportunity to buy natural.
Well,
weed
and then
still.
when you ask them, hey,
they
what's
don't
the
care.
ingredients there? They're like, it's a secret.
And they don't care.
It's my secret blue.
Industry
And
secret,
we're
man.
not trying to.
You're like,
we're not
bro,
trying to
You putting like
it's that next level tech.
do your game, but we're trying to save your life at the same time. Real talk. You feel me?
don't smoke some boof that's gonna give you cancer, because we know cannabis don't kill nobody.
Well, and your sensory experience at the end of the day matters. You know what I mean? If you're trying to relax at the end of the day, and next thing you know, you bought a boof pack, and then you're like stressed out the whole night because you thought that $60 boof Zaza You know what I'm saying?
Smelled amazing.
But then you're like, yo, I smoked the whole thing. Well, like,
barely felt anything. My
like,
head
hey,
hurts.
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's when you need to elevate yourself for your sake. If you're cool buying the sprayed terps, look, it's all good because I can't tell you because you don't care about your life. So, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
So I can't really educate you.
You're probably on all sorts of shit.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're just here, like we said,
God.
to educate you, man. Like, because we care about your life. So, contaminants, potential health risks, regulations. There's rumors of companies in other states, Delta 6, Delta 10, Delta 8, right? Even unknown cannabinoids, even, right?
And I mean, you're bringing that up because obviously, like, we've talked a lot about spraying terps, but it's also more than that.
With the Delta, what's showing up in the smoke shops?
Definitely
The Delta,
be spraying
like Delta
all the Delta 6s,
that's crazy.
Delta 8,
Get your money, man.
So it's not just, you know what I mean? It's not just spraying
Even
terps,
just
it's
online,
spraying everything.
It's crazy.
It's confusing a lot of people because
The loopholes too
is like obviously the exact THC molecule that does give you those effects, those psychoactive effects.
So
Yeah.
So do people know what's happening there? Do you guys understand, like?
No, I think you might need to break it down just a little bit.
So,
for sure. Let's go.
Delta 9, look at it as how many hydrocarbon placements there are in that molecule, right? So when you decarboxylate Delta 9, there's an end node spot. I call it a node spot. That's the worst term for it. But it's a sulfuric... it's a sulfuric bond that gets...
Yo. Explain it to like a third grader, dog.
Ooh, okay.
Explain it to a third grader.
Okay. So when you have... Think about it like this. You have a bike. When you're learning to ride the bike, before anything, it has training wheels on it. You finally start ripping, those training wheels come off. When you burn THC, those training wheels fall off, and your body is now able to process that molecule. So it's like those training wheels are falling off, essentially. In that process is when it decarboxylates. So when the training wheels are falling off, that's what I'm referring to when I say decarboxylation. So when your body starts to utilize some of those compounds. I forgot where I was going with this now that I dumbed it down, dude.
What is the difference between Delta 9 and Delta 8?
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. It got me back on my part.
Yeah.
Delta 8 is like not having the handlebars, but it has the rest of the body, right? So it's still going to pass through a receptor, but it's not going to fit the receptor the way that it should. And cannabis doesn't necessarily fit the receptor completely. We have about a 33% absorption rate for potential cannabinoids when it's consumed through inhalation.
We have a scientific
Bioavailability.
We'll put the paper in the credits, right?
Yeah,
We want to be spewing facts over here.
Not to mention that Delta 8
Let's go.
THC is not in abundant forms in actual...
Delta 9.
No, it's Delta 8. Delta 8 is not in abundant forms in type 1 flower.
Ooh, okay, I
It is
see.
the Delta 9.
That is.
And that is in abundant forms made naturally by cannabis.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying is that it's confusing a lot of people because what they're doing is that they're getting this Delta 9 and the Delta 8 from hemp flower and they're basically acid washing it to make it multiply so that it can be in an abundant form or so they can extract it in an abundant form so that it does interact with your body psychoactively. But guess what happens when you process that? You're basically synthesizing it.
Yeah.
You know, you're using a different chemical for that.
Yes.
So, you know, like when people are like, oh shit, Delta 9, like...
Well, it's like crazy because since Delta 8 is that minor cannabinoid, the issue that lies is the difference in how Delta 8 can potentially affect you and its molecular structure. That's mainly where the studies are very different because we can't, again, it's federally illegal, studies, right, researching, funding these projects, funding these trials to provide and see if there's an efficacy for it. The difference between those two is literally their molecular structure and the potency that one or the other can potentially have. And that's what researchers right now and regulations and regulators are trying to figure out. Will Delta 8 in the long run, because it is naturally found in cannabis, but the problem is, are there certain practices that are increasing the presence of Delta 8 within the cannabis flower, right? And that's where we want to trace it back, right? What organics, synthetics, what soil, what environment, what climate control, what conditions we're running these flowers in these certain processing facilities and these cultivation farms, right? So it comes down right to their molecular structures in terms of 8th carbon, 9th carbon, whatever you want to say it. We're not chemists or scientists here, guys. We're literally geeking out on weed and teaching you guys. But yeah, it's literally minor cannabinoids, Delta 8, you know what I'm saying? So,
and Delta 8 is not a byproduct of cannabis. That is not a byproduct of cannabis.
Like randomly just like showing up too. It's like that's the crazy.
It's a minor cannabinoid.
Mm-hmm. And
it's a minor cannabinoid.
Javi mentioned an acetone base using a method of extraction. So we have hydrocarbon, butane, propane. The list goes on for methods of extraction where we've consistently done extraction formats in this way and never seen Delta 8, Delta 10, Delta 6. Those are not common. So it's a new method of extraction that has no backing or no scientific efficacy behind it, especially when you look at how much of it they're able to extract back. So like the purging process of that. We don't have the we don't have the chemistry right now to verify how much of it is being residual in the product, because through the mixing of the two, you're bound to have some stay and some leave. But how much, we don't know.
Let's go, man. Delta 8, Delta 6, Delta 10. We want you to focus on Delta 9.
That's the one.
That's the main one.
The winner.
That's the truth.
From type 1.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yes. Yes, the differences, like, guys, their potencies, the effects, their structures. And when you're purchasing these, it's important to look at the profiles of these, right? When they give you the info. Don't just bypass it because the name looks dope, or, you need a vape and you need to go on the go. Actually take the time to look at it. If they did provide a chemical, a cannabinoid profile or terpene profile that can help you better narrow down what's best for you. And you can, you kind of stick around to that regimen that fits best for you. And that's why we educate on aromatics, right? Flavor. We got a banana guy. I'm a mango guy.
I'm a mango guy.
I really like my mango.
Banana for life. What's up, DJ? What are you?
I like that funk.
Oh, also watermelon.
That sour.
I want some watermelon. And see, these flavors we're talking about are flavors you can naturally flying high.
Citrus.
Find in the cannabis plant. And you can't mimic that. Keyword mimic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
can't imitate.
When you taste a watermelon in cannabis, you're like, this is possible. You're like, yeah, that's why they call it watermelon hash plant, dude. Or maybe it's just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's a reason why they call it sour diesel, because it smells like fucking diesel. You know what I'm
sour
saying?
Sour diesel, yeah.
Apple fritter giving this cakey dessert smell, right?
Wedding cake.
Yeah, there's these natural smells, cake. Right? And you will know as time continues with these legalities that start to come out and more strains start to roll out and all these dispensaries start to go experiment, with it. But like we said, we're just here to help you guys make good choices and good consumer choices as a patient trying to save your life.
Save your life. Get the good flower.
Get the good flower.
Yeah.
Don't smoke the boof.
Avoid the spray terps. You know what it is.
Hey.
Do we know what it is? Do y'all know what it is?
UCC what it is.
UCC what it is.
Yeah.
Man, thank you guys so much again, man. We appreciate you guys. We're just wrapping it up here, talking about terps, talking about, I'm going to just, on a positive note, let's finish it on a positive note, man. What's one of your guys' favorite strains right now?
Ooh, right now, garlic cocktail.
Woo! Wow.
Garlic cocktail, loving it.
Let's go.
Yeah, Mimosa GMO cross.
I'm on the rainbow belts.
Yeah, I'll go with Wes, the rainbow belts.
Nice. I'll have to reminisce a little bit. A couple weeks ago to that permanent that was here.
Marker. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to snag one of those.
Anton was saying that he got some of that. He's saying that on the last episode that he got some of that and vaped it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
The
volcano.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. Guys, encouraging you guys to make smart decisions, smart choices. UCC what it is. It's your boy Sep,
Wes,
Gabe,
And JJ.
and y'all already know who it is over here.
Yo, it's all you.
Gang on the ones and twos, man.
thanks for tuning in. We out.
Ciao.
Make sure to follow us, y'all.
good episode,
Gang.
boys.
Utah Cannabis Club.
Utah Cannabis Club. Join our Patreon soon.
Merch coming soon.
Merch.
Merch coming.
Merch.
coming soon.